It's about the value. It's about the value. Had a conversation yesterday with a potential buyer for domain we're brokering, and he brought up the domain appraisals. He's like, "Hey, Chris, listen, we checked these like 3 domain appraisals, and they value the domain at this." And I said, "Okay, I understand." And then I walked him through the 3 conversations. I said, "Listen, typically when I'm reached out a domain name, there's 3 conversations that I have with someone in your position. Okay." The first one is, what do you want to pay? Okay, what do you want to pay? And like the reality is, like, everyone loves to get a good deal, and so they'd like to pay next to nothing for a domain name. The second is, what is the value? What is this worth to you? Like, what is the true value and the true ROI for your brand equity, your marketing? Walk through the 7 dimensions. And I said, that's really what this discussion is about. Is like, I'm just here to help you find your value. And I'm trying to get you to see that it's not about what you want to pay. Okay, there's a true value. Domain names are assets, very similar to real estate, very similar to buying equipment, very similar to hiring an employee. And I said the third equation, or the third conversation, is, what does the owner want for it? Now, in this case, the owner had this domain name for many years. They had a business on it at one point, so they had a clear like utility behind the domain. Okay, so I mean, they had like money invested in the domain. And I said, if the value for you is higher than what he wants, then it's a no-brainer. Like, take it down. If you can truly tell me, like, this is not worth it for me, then great, let's part ways, and we'll just find a different buyer. So, anyways, like we kind of went back and forth with that. I walked him through the 7 dimensions, the dimensions that kind of hit him the most, which was like email security, ability to scale, and trust. But, you know, this overarching conversation with the 7 dimensions is really trust. It's really trust. It's like, and I think domains really show a lot about a company and a founder. Okay, if they're not willing to invest in their own brand by owning the messaging, by owning and creating clarity and by brand equity, but they're asking you to invest with them, then I think there's it's like there's something that's not congruent. Okay, so it's kind of one of the lessons in sales, is that, you know, how it's like, I hate to say karma, but it's kind of like karma, right? It kind of comes around to you. If you hold people and you penny pinch them, but you're not asking people to penny pinch you, it comes out in how you sell. Okay, so, but it's also true in business. In this case, you know, he didn't want it, like they didn't see the value yet. Now, the reality is that their worldview is such that it doesn't mean much. My view on selling is worldview, self-view, roadmap. Okay, so the worldview has to align. They have to see this. There has to be a gap between where they're at today and the opportunity. This is for domains, it's for any product you're selling. But there's no gap. There's no gap between there. There's no desire. The biggest sales that happen are because there's this massive gap between this, okay, which creates desire, moves well past interest, that they just have to have this because they know that this is a strategic part of their brand. Anyways, that's it. It's like 3 questions. I mean, every conversation I have is 3 questions. Like, what do you want to pay? What's the value? And what do they want to sell it for? My job, what I do and I love doing, is helping companies to see the true ROI, ROI and value for a domain as an asset. And this thesis that your domain is your brand equity. Like, it all goes hand in hand. And so anyways, check out MediaOptions.com. We've got some of the best domains on the planet. We can help you to acquire a domain name or sell a domain name. Check that out over at MediaOptions.com.